Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Godfrey Tsenengamu, the founder for the Front For Economic Emancipation of Zimbabwe. If you enjoy this conversation, remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Let's get down to some work. Godfrey Tsenengamu, welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm very well. It's a great honor to be sitting with you, Godfrey. I've been watching you and fascinated by the fights that you've been having with the elders in Zanu PF. So, in 2014, you got suspended by the Joyce Mujuru faction from Zanu PF. In 2015, you got suspended by the G40 faction. In 2020, you got suspended and then expelled by Emmerson Mnangagwa faction. Why are you getting into all these problems with the Zanu PF colleagues?
Okay, thank you so much, Mkoma Trevor, for this opportunity. I've been longing to be on this show.
Oh, thank you.
Because I've been following it for some time and I really enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, now coming back to your question as to why I've always been at loggerheads with the Madalas in Zanu PF. I think basically, I was a youth in the party. And youths naturally are not politicians. They are activists. They try to push boundaries. Youths are adventurous. And you do certain things that Madalas can't do. You say certain things that Madalas can't say. And sometimes you come up with these imaginations on certain things that Madalas can't understand. And about my 2014 suspension by the Mujuru faction, they said they were charging me with insubordination. Basically because I had not gone to attend my Mjuru's rally in Shamva. I had opted to go for a youth mobilization and empowerment meeting in Guruve because I was a youth leader. So I said, why should I go and attend Maim Juru's rally with women when I'm a youth leader? So I just went to do my work. And they said, no, it was insubordination. So they called me for a disciplinary hearing. I went there, they could not have it. And they suspended me unprocedurally. That is what happened in 2014. So that was for 6 months. Then I got back.
Before you go, so my Mujuru and them say you should have come to the rally rather than go to the youth mobilization platform. Is that what they're saying?
No, this is what they said was the case.
Yeah.
That as a subordinate, I should have gone because she was a senior. But I said, no, this was a women's program. Why should I, as a youth leader, be going with women? I'm doing my work as a youth leader. And said, no, that's insubordination. But, well, this was just one of their reasons because they had been longing to suspend me.
Why were they longing to suspend you?
Because I was very open that I was not in support of Maim Juru's presidential ambitions. I told the guys then that I don't see Maim Juru becoming the president. And I gave them my reasons why I thought she was not going to make it.
What were those reasons, Godfrey?
I had problems with her style of leadership. I would not want to hit someone who is already on the ground.
Absolutely.
But I would want to say I had some issues with how she managed her leadership roles nationally and more so in the province where she was a senior member of the party.
Okay.
So-
So I respect that. And then the G40 suspension and expulsion?
Yeah, the G40 suspension came after the fall of Maimjuru in 2014, and we worked together.
So let's
During that time.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
let's define in your understanding who is the G40 at that particular moment.
At that particular moment, it was a team of young leaders within Zanu PF.
Shall we name them? Sevia Kasukuwere,
Yeah.
Jonathan
Jonathan Moyo, Patrick Joao, would look at Walter Muzembi, though he was not really
in there.
in there. But you'd say, okay, as a young leader, maybe he fits in there. So basically, those were some of the leaders that we thought were Generation 40 members. And my understanding was that this term was coined by Professor Jonathan Moyo. So these were the guys who were opposed to the ascendance of the then Vice President Mnangagwa to become president. So I was clear from the time Maimjuru went down, say, I think the one who is going to be president is Emmerson Mnangagwa. And it was a taboo then to say that. And more so when I was coming from National and Central, there was a lot of tribal fights that were going on within Zanu PF, the Zezuru versus the Karangas. So naturally, I was expected to be siding with the Zezurus.
Because you're Zezuru yourself.
And I'm not a Zezuru myself.
So
I come
why
from
would-
the Korekore.
Okay.
But for me, when I'm looking at you, Mkoma Ncube, I don't see Ndebele, because Ndebele is a language. I mustn't discriminate against you on the basis of your language. Why should we say this one is Korekore, this one is Manyika, because of what they speak? If you have not spoken a word, no one can be able to say from which tribe do you come from. So when I was looking at Emmerson Mnangagwa, I was not seeing a Karanga. I was seeing somebody with the potential of becoming a national leader. So I didn't subscribe to the this notion of tribal supremacy as it was happening in Zanu PF. So I got myself suspended because I had used the church platform, because by then I was going to Joan Masowe to bring Mnangagwa into Mashonaland and Central Province. And by then, the provincial gurus had said Mnangagwa will not come into my central. And I said, okay, fine, I may use chair. So how do I go about it? So we had to use the church platform to bring him to Gora, to the late Vawimbo or Vamaginesta. That was in 2015. So from then I got suspended. Within a week or so, I got expelled. And after my suspension, that's when I had my first press conference where I spoke strongly against the G40 machinations then, as was being fronted by former First Lady Mai Grace Mugabe after her Mazoe rally. So I spoke strongly, and this didn't go down well with the leadership. And then they decided to suspend me without reining me before a disciplinary committee, and without also taking me through the necessary procedures. And they also then expelled me from Zanu PF. That was around October 2015.
Help us understand why you decided to be different from the G40. Who were they siding with? The First Lady, was it? Why did you rather, let me rephrase it, and why did you think that Emmerson Mnangagwa ought to be the one that you should be supporting? Why?
It wasn't something personal. I had no personal problems with my brothers and sisters
In G40.
in G40. We had, fine, like in any family setup, you not always agree on everything. But for me, I thought Mnangagwa deserved to be given a chance to prove that because he was saying he can be a better leader. So I thought that maybe he deserved to be given that chance. And I was looking at him as somebody who was very loyal for some time to President Mugabe. And I thought that he had learned a number of things from how President Mugabe did his things, what he did right and what he did wrong. And I thought that maybe he was going to be the bridge between the Madalas and the young people and come in as a transitional leader. Because I thought that if President Mugabe was going to step down and ED comes in, after President Mnangagwa, I had two options for me. And those two options were Xavier Kasukwere or Walter Mzembe. And I was very clear even with Xavier Kasukwere. I told him that I think you just have to support this Mdara, let him come in, maybe for a term. You have your time, you still have edge on your side.
What was Xavier Kasukwere's pushback on that?
No, he had his own views. Obviously, he would say, no, we are supporting President Mugabe. We don't want this, we don't want that. But I told him, I said, no, look, bro, we cannot continue to pretend. President Mugabe can no longer pull. He deserves to be given rest. He must rest. He has done his part. We can't afford to have him stand as a presidential candidate in 2018. But these guys were saying, no, he has to stand. So I then said, oh, okay, fine.
Was that a genuine campaign to say President Mugabe is going to stand, or there was something else behind that? What was the reading of that?
Yeah, from my reading, these comrades were not sincere with each other. President Mugabe wanted Sidin Sekamai to take over, but at some point he would say to Tyson, you are my Obama, you can be a good leader. That was President Mugabe. That is how he would always handle his people within the party, the factional groupings, how he'd manage those people he would see like being ambitious. But then also there was another clique which wanted Mai Mugabe to take over as a weaker candidate, so that maybe at some point they would also deal with her and get her out of the way. But what I knew was even my brother Xavier Kasukwere, he had his ambitions, and I think he had a right to have such ambitions. Why would someone get involved in politics if you don't have ambitions? So this is what I was getting out of it. So rallying behind President Mugabe when there were issues between Lacoste and G40 was basically a way of trying to elbow out Emmerson Mnangagwa, so that maybe these comrades may bring in somebody weaker whom they can deal with at a convenient time.
So you then get your preferred candidate, Emmerson Mnangagwa, comes in. You have smuggled him into Mashonaland Central, is it?
Mashonaland Central.
And through using the church. So he comes in, but you then get into trouble with him. What happens there? Why do you then get in 2020 suspended and then expelled?
I think I realized that the Emmerson Mnangagwa that we fought for to be the president and the one who came in are two different people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you and I were fooled, because I am one of those people who stood up after the coup and said, let's give Emmerson Mnangagwa a chance. Because I was convinced that this man had sat next to Robert Mugabe and had seen all the mistakes that Robert Mugabe had done, and that he would come in and correct those mistakes, particularly Gukurawundi. And I concede now, I was absolutely fooled. So you were fooled like me.
Yeah, I think I would say is because you and me, I say we are not politicians.
Oh, terrible.
Including myself, I'm not.
You're not a politician.
I'm not a politician.
So you and I are not politicians. We got fooled?
We are genuine. Politicians are not genuine. Politicians are fake. Politicians are deceitful.
Mm-hmm.
They are cunning. They are good schemers. They make you believe that this blue is red. And they will convince you to say it's red.
And then they go on.
And they go on. Yeah. They play games. For them, it's a game. They play with people's minds. They play with people's emotions.
They play with people's lives.
Exactly. So for me, I then realized that the ED that I was vouching for pre-November 2017, the one who got into office, are two different people. I thought that he had an opportunity to get everything and all that he wanted in his life from 1980 when he was minister up to 2017. I thought he was sincere about building his legacy, cleaning his name around the Gukurahund menace, dealing with corruption. Remember the likes of Philip Chiangwa and Issa Mfumi were against him because they thought he was going to be tough regarding corruption. But we then realized that no. In fact, he is one corrupt guy. He has surrounded himself with corrupt people who can't tell him the truth. Bootlickers, people, opportunists, people who are always there for personal gain, people who don't have principles. So I thought that he was going to correct what President Mugabe did wrong, because he was with President Mugabe for more than 50 years. That's what we were told. And from our engagements with him pre-November 2017, he would appear like he's someone who is sincere. And when he got into power, I expected that he was going to keep his word. He was going to do as we had been discussing before he got into power.
So you sat down and discussed some of these issues with him?
No, I would go to see him.
Oh.
I would go to see him, though privately, at the time, and I would tell him the problem that we were facing and how we thought these issues had to be resolved, and he would agree. Just like we are seated here having that heart-to-heart conversation and say, okay, this has to be corrected in this manner and everything. And I thought he was going to just do that. And when I realized that this was not happening, at first, I thought that those who were around him were the problem. But I said, no, we are going into the same trap or same scenario like we did with President Mugabe. When we thought that President Mugabe was okay, only those who were surrounding him were the problem. But I said, no, these people who are surrounding ED didn't come from heaven. He appointed them. He is comfortable working with them. And he is pushing through his agenda and whatever that he seeks to do through them. So we can't be seen pointing fingers at those that are around him and say he is not guilty of what these other comrades are doing, because he is the appointing authority. Whatever these people are doing, they are doing those things with his blessings. So I then came out and exposed corruption with Matutu.
I'm going to stop you there so that we take a break. We're going to be back. Please don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to ask Godfrey what was his point of departure with President Emmerson Mnangagwa. So don't go away. See you on the other side.
We are going to pay a price either for fighting the blood-sucking cartels or for smiling at them.
Welcome back to my conversation with Godfrey Tsenengamu, who is the founder of the Front for the Economic Emancipation of Zimbabwe, a man who's been kicked out of Zanu PF a number of times. So when we took that break, Godfrey, I was going to ask you, what was your point of departure? When did you then realize, no, this is not the Mnangagwa that I supported. He's different and I need to do something. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I met President Mnangagwa at the Zanu PF HQ when he was about to go to Davos for the first time. After he came into office, I had not gone to see him. So he stopped at the foyer of the Zanu PF HQ and said, "Oh, Godfrey, why have you not come to my office?" And I said, "No, Your Excellency, I have no business in your office. All we wanted is for you to come in and work. So I think we need to give you an opportunity to work." And then he instructed his PA to say, "Give Godfrey a date so that he comes to the office." So I went to see him at his office and said, "No, what are your issues?" I said, "No, Comrade President, like we have always been discussing, what we have been discussing is what we are just looking up to. Say these are the things that you have to do for the people, and improve from where President Mugabe left. So he then said, you are free to come to my office any day, anytime. If you want to have a discussion with me on anything. I said, no, that's okay. Thank you, Excellency, for the opportunity. So we parted. So from that day, I would always go to his office, give him raw information. I would not even sieve the information. I would tell him as it is. At one point, I raised to him issues to do with tribalism in the party. I said, Comrade President, people are complaining that your leadership is dominated by the Karangas. He got and settled in his chair and said, what? I said, this is what the people are saying. Okay, let me count for you. Mm-hmm. Then I started counting those who were in the Politburo then as Politburo members, those who were from Mashingo and Midlands. I said, the people are saying Midlands and Mashingo are oversubscribed in the Politburo. We can't talk of you. We'll start talking about the national chair. And he said, no, the national chair comes from Manicaland. I said, no, the people from Manicaland says she comes from Mashingo. Her father moved to Manicaland as a agriculture extension worker. So the national chair comes from Mashingo.
Where's the national chair then?
Mchinguri.
Opa.
Mm-hmm. Opa. So he was listening. I said, okay, from national chair, the next one from the two provinces is the national political commissar. By then it was Rugeje. From Rugeje, we go to external relations, that's Mbengegwi. From external relations, we go to security, that's Matuke. From Matuke, we go to transport and welfare, that's Julai Moyo. From Julai Moyo, we go to legal affairs, that's Paul Mangwana. From Paul Mangwana, we go to production and labor, that's Josiah Hungwe. From Josiah Hungwe, we go to youth affairs, that's Pupreto Garepi. And his deputy is Louis Matutu. Secretary for War Veterans is Victor Matemadanda. We have SBMO in the Politburo. We have Titsim Zenda. We have, so I counted all of them. They came up to around 12 or so from the two provinces. And he said, but I didn't look at it this way. I said, no, this is what the people are saying. So you have to deal with these issues, Comrade President, because we don't want, some of us stood against them as a Zulu and Kongarebo thing, and we can't stay to see a Karanga and Kongarebo thing. So this is what is happening, Your Excellency. Like from the province where I come from, there is no one in the Politburo. And he says, no, there is Parents Shira. I said, no, Parents is just a farmer. He's farming in our province, but he comes from Mashist. There is no representation. I said, oh, okay, by the way, I had kept one position for Mashonaland and Central. I would give someone from Mashonaland and Central. And that position was Secretary for Gender and Culture.
So this conversation, is it the two of you? Just you?
No,
and
the
him?
two of us.
Wow.
It was the two of us. It was the two of us. Because I would always think that I needed to tell him certain things that these people didn't tell him, because they were after positions, they were after favors, and I didn't want anything from him. So I thought that in order to help him to be a good leader, we have to give him correct information about what people are saying and what's happening on the ground.
What is his response?
He just said, no, I'm going to look at it. I'll give Mashonaland Central another slot. But I then met one guy who says to me, what did you say to the president? I said, what? He said, no, you went to confront him about tribalism, the dominance of Midlands and Mashingo. I said, no, I have no problems with Midlands and Mashingo. But I was just telling him what the people are saying and what the people are feeling about his leadership and how everything is turning out. So he said, no, he was not happy about that. I said, oh, I didn't know. But well, yes, I agree that I told him that. So we had a problem with that. He was not happy about it. I also went to him at some other point and said, no, look, Comrade President, can you bring back the G40s? And he said, why? I said, no, these are Zanu PF people. Our only disagreement was about who is supposed to succeed President Mugabe. And that's a done deal. You are the president. You mustn't punish loyal people. These people were loyal to President Mugabe.
So you told him that
I told him to his face. I told him, no, you have to bring these guys back.
And what was his response?
He said, no, I cannot bring them back.
Why?
They are fighting me. And I said, no, why do you think they mustn't fight you? Because when you were expelled, you also had to organize your way back into the party. And these people, they have their families back here. Their businesses are here. They invested a lot in this party and in their political careers. Why do you think that for all the time that you are going to be president, they are going to be out there? Why should you punish them for being loyal to President Mugabe? Would you also want those who are loyal to you to be punished when you are gone? Because for me, you are setting a wrong precedent. You must bring them back. Bring Walter Mzembe here, say Vyakasukwere, Joao, Jonathan Moen, say, you guys, you small boys, we wanted to teach you a lesson. You were very ambitious. I will give you errands. Iwe enda unofudza mbudzi, iwe fudza dzora huku, iwe dini, iwe dai. Offer a drink and say, come back, and you work together. Why should you have problems with that?
And he refused.
And he refused.
Yeah.
And you could read from his face that I had said something that he was not ready for.
Wow. So you've made him unhappy with you by talking about tribalism, one, by talking about the G40.
Exactly.
What other issue made your relationship and him go sour?
The other time I went to him to raise issues around his children, how they were moving around. We're hearing stories about them taking mining claims from this poor guy, from that poor guy, from this area and that area. And I said to him, no, look, Comrade President, I'm your political commissar of the Youth League. And when I'm going out there, my duty is to mobilize, recruit, and organize for the party. We are going out there to mobilize people to support you. And what your children are doing is making my job very difficult as a commissar, because I'm not going to be able to mobilize people who are disgruntled. And the next day, I got a call. I'll not mention who called me, but from the family, saying, from
the Mnangagwa family?
From the Mnangagwa family. Say, whom do you think you are? I said, no, I'm a commissar.
Why can't you mention the name? I mean...
No, I don't want to, like, personalize issues,
okay,
because some
fine.
of them are not politicians.
Okay, so
I think I'm comfortable talking about President Mnangagwa because he's a politician, and
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that. So you get a call?
Yeah. So I said, no, look, you are making my job very difficult as a commissar because you are using President Mnangagwa's name in whatever that you are doing, and he is the man who is in front of us as our leader, who will go to the people and mobilize people to support him. And it won't be easy for us to do that because people are disgruntled with the way you are conducting yourselves. So whatever that you think, I don't care. But I told President Mnangagwa about what you guys are doing, and you have to stop it. And he said, okay, continue, we'll see who will win. And I said, no, I don't care. If you think that being a commissar is a favor for me, I will resign. And the following day, I wrote a letter saying, no, I'm resigning from my position as a youth commissar. That was around 2019, if I'm not mistaken, thereabout. I said I was going to resign. And I said, I'm now 36. I can't continue being in the youth league because youth ends at 35. So I'm going out. Then I received a call from the president's office and say, the president wants to see you. I went back to see him and said, no, why? What is this that I'm hearing? That you want to resign? I said, yes, I want to resign. I cannot operate in this environment. Because when we raise these issues, we are raising them because we are concerned about the effects of what is happening on the ground. Then the other issue was about the compensation of former white commercial farmers. I was very clear, I was not in support of it because I thought that our parents, the thousands of Zimbabweans who perished at Nyadzonya, Chimoyo, Tembo, Gondola, Mkuche, and all over, paid for all of that. I said there is no reason whatsoever to pay for compensation. They said there is a clause in the constitution. I said no. Our point as Zanu PF when we got into the COPAC thing, we said let's have this clause for compensation, but once we get 2/3, we are going to amend, and we now have 2/3. Why can't we amend? Why should we be seen giving billions of dollars to those people who deprived us of our land, who took our land, our livestock, benefited from forced labor, took our minerals for more than 100 years? We are the victims. We are supposed to be compensated. So I stood by that, and it didn't go well with the leadership, to a point that I was also summoned to go to Munumtapa. I went there and I explained myself. I said, no, this is the position of the party as far as I know, unless it has changed. Then I was told to go and see the then Vice President Mohadi, because I had also gone to Manicaland, where I told young people to say, you are still waiting for the leadership to resettle you. You are not serious, because land won't be given to you. You have to take it, because these guys are sitting pretty good. They are the ones in ownership of multiple farms. They have everything that they want, and you have nothing to your names. So they had gone to bombard or to occupy another farm of a certain white guy who is a friend to Vice President Mohadi. So they decided to warn me for inciting young people to get into farms. So we had also problems with that, and I also had problems with them on 2 other issues. The other one was with the indigenization. I said, why are we giving away our minerals to foreigners, to non-Zimbabweans, to non-Africans? We have given them tax holidays. Why are we doing this? Lithium, gold, platinum,
these are the Chinese
they're taking everything. There is nothing to show for the diamonds, for the gold, for the platinum, for the lithium and everything. Why are we doing this? And why have you allowed Minister Mutuli to scrape indigenization totally? What's there for us? Because we have people who are getting filthy rich by exploiting resources from poor communities that cannot afford to build a single hole blade toilet. And you are telling us that they will give back to the community through community social responsibility. We are not supposed to be begging. We can't continue to be a charity case. We must be in control and ownership of our resources. And this didn't go down well with the leadership.
What was the culmination of that? Did you get fired? What happened? How did you then leave Zanu PF?
It was after then I was now coming to the issue concerning corruption. Because I also went to him and said, no, Comrade President, look at how...
You went to talk to him
I
about
went to
corruption.
talk to him, about corruption.
Again, on a one-on-one?
On a one-on-one. I went to see him because he had given me the permission to go and see him and raise issues with him. And I was very comfortable.
And your capacity at that time, just remind us, what was your position?
I was a national political commissar of the youth.
Okay.
I was a national political commissar of the youth.
So you had a status in
exactly,
the party.
and a central committee member. And also because I had been in the trenches for him, so that there was this special relationship with him. So I didn't want to use that relationship for my personal benefit, because I thought that those who pushed me or those who elected me to be their national political commissar did so because they thought I would represent them. So I would always go there and raise issues that I thought had an impact on the lives of
So the corruption issue, how do you raise it? What did you say to him?
No, I said, no, look, Comrade President, look at how these comrades are going to RBZ, get the money 1:1 from RBZ, take it to the streets, and when in fact they would have promised to go and buy fuel. So like they take 5 million from RBZ, they take 3 million in the streets, 2 million to buy fuel. Fuel is in short supply, rates are going up, there is a shortage in terms of goods, inflation is galloping and everything. So I raised these issues to him.
What does he say?
He said, no, I think that's the role That's your role as youths. You have to deal with this. What do you want me to do? I said, oh, okay, President, thank you for that. So we are going to deal with it. If you follow my Facebook, from 2019, I was very clear that we cannot allow the political journals to sink the ship. So we have to throw them out of the ship so that the ship doesn't sink. And I thought that the president was in support from the agreement, from the discussion that we had. So we went on, but I knew that these guys were going to resist because they had sponsored the party, including the vehicle that I was driving. They had bought it. The salary that I was getting was...
Are you able to tell us who these guys are?
Yes, the likes of Kuda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kuda Tagwire.
Kuda Tagwire.
He bought the car that you were driving.
He bought the cars.
These are the guys that are going to buy fuel and doing
exactly
stuff with the fuel.
The fuel, getting cash from RBZ, burning it, then putting into the party accounts, then we get paid. My salary was very good by then. I could afford to pay 2 or 3 doctors by merely being a political commissar.
Wow.
Because I was a political commissar. But I then said to myself, no, look, I am the one who is at the table at the expense of the rest of the members of my family, of all the members of my clan, my Sawiras, my brothers, my sisters, all of them, when they have challenges, they are coming back to me and said, we have a funeral, can you assist? Imbwa yangu ya garira reza, kiti yangu ya baiwa netsono, they would all come to me. And I said, no, okay, fine. I'm in this position today, and I'm not going to be here forever. Power is temporary. And I'm enjoying at the expense of the rest of the people. Even the young people who elected me to be where I am, they are suffering. So I then, if you look at my post on the 31st of January, I said, we are going to pay a price either for fighting the blood-sucking cartels or for smiling at them. I choose to fight. That's what I posted.
How did you fight? Is this the press conference that you called to talk about
then
corruption?
We called for a press conference that we held with Louis Matutu, because we had initially had another one at the Zanu PF HQ where the leadership promised to look in the matters that we had raised. They constituted a commission of inquiry which suffered a stillbirth. To this day, it has never said. So we then said, okay, fine. So how do we deal with this? We cannot continue to use the party platform. So we have to do this as individual members. That's why we moved from the party HQ to the media center. And once we did, then we attacked Kuda, we attacked Tafazo Msarara. We had also accessed millions of US dollars to bring in grain, to bring in wheat, and they were playing games with this grain, taking it to DRC and everything. But before that, Msarara had also given me a ton of millimil to take to Mount Darwin Hospital, where I come from. But when I came from there, that's when I realized that, in fact, he had been given money to bring in grain, to bring in wheat and other cereals. And I said, okay, so it could be part of this money that he then gave me a ton to go and donate. And I said to him, what's this that I'm hearing? He said, no, but I said, no, this is not right. Wow. Even though you gave me millimil to go and make a donation at Mount Darwin Hospital, we cannot do that at the expense of the rest of the people. So what then they did is they went to Mount Darwin Hospital, tried to see if I had taken even a single bag from the 1 ton, and they discovered that I had taken everything to the hospital because they wanted to find somewhere where they could corner me. And we also attacked Billy Rottenberg. And this didn't go down well with the rest of the leadership because these people...
Including President Mnangagwa.
No, they were not happy about it. They were not happy about it because all the guys, as much as they are divided in Zanu PF, they agreed unanimously to get me expelled out of the party. But before they got me expelled, they suspended me and said, no, you must go to Chitepo School of Ideology for reorientation.
And you refused to go to the Chitepo
For me, it was an insult. Because as a commissar...
Shall we park it there? Okay. You refused to go to the Chitepo School of Ideological Reorientation.
Sure.
We'll come back and tell people why you decided not to go for ideological reorientation. Please join us on the other side.
Ideologically, Zanu PF is now a pale shadow of its former self.
Imagine getting free access to the Newsday, the Standard, the Zimbabwe Independent, and the Weekly Digest for a full month. Well, you can, and all you need to do is download the Newsday e-reader app on Google Play Store or scan the Newsday QR code in any of the AMH print publications and start enjoying the quality content. Usasaririrewe, famba ne time, famba ne chokwadi, famba ne e-paper.
Welcome back to our conversation with Godfrey Tsenengamu, the founder of the Front for the Economic Liberation of Zimbabwe. So your comrades decide, Warasa Gwarayo,
Sure.
you need to be panel beaten by being sent to the Chitepo Ideological College, and you refuse. Why?
I took it as an insult. As a war commissar, my duty was to mobilize, organize, and recruit. I was also a teacher, an ideological teacher in the party. So it's like someone, you are in Form 4, and they say you have to go back to preschool and be a preschool student. I said, no. If I'm to go to Chitepo, I'll go as a lecturer. Because instead, it is you, Madalas, who have lost a party ideology. You are now capitalist, you are no longer socialist, you are no longer pro-poor, you are no longer pushing things for the masses. It's all about you.
You are thieves, actually.
Exactly. You are the ones who are corrupt, you are defending the corrupt, and you want someone who has said, let's shun corruption, to be reoriented. So,
isn't it fascinating? For me, I find it fascinating that you are supporting the land reform. You are saying no to corruption. You are saying no to taking bribes and that kind of stuff. And you are the person that they're saying should go to the School of Ideological Realignment. But you seem to be standing for what the party is supposed to be doing.
Ideologically, Zanu PF is now a pale shadow of its former self. It's no longer a socialist party. The whole leadership has gone capitalist. The whole party has been hijacked. So
I don't mind. I don't think the people out there mind about them being capitalist. But it's the stealing. It's the corruption.
No, when you're a capitalist, you are really into exploiting others.
Yeah, but
which leads you to also want to take everything for yourself.
Sure.
All the opportunities for yourself. You don't care about the rest of the people. You care about you making profits at the expense of everyone else.
I hear what you're saying, Godfrey, and maybe this is where we will have a disagreement. And for me, is if you're a capitalist playing by the rules, that's fine. A man who's corrupt, who's taking things and using state assets and so forth to enrich themselves, there's a difference between a capitalist and a corrupt person, isn't it?
No, there is a thin line which divides a corrupt person and a capitalist. These, we are attacking them because they are using state resources.
Yeah.
But also capitalists do that. Maybe not in the eyes of the public, but they also exploit resources that are supposed to be used by other people for the benefit of the rest of the people, for their personal benefit. But these ones are for me, I said the party is supposed to be a socialist party.
Okay.
And you have deviated from that. See. So what ideology do you want to teach me?
For that, yeah.
They would punish me for doing just that.
Let's move quickly, if we may. So you participate in the 31st February movement against corruption, championed by Jacob Ngarivume, who is in prison now.
Sure.
Jacob has been sentenced for 3 years in prison for fighting against corruption. As far as the state is concerned, they saw that protest as incitement. But it appears to me we have forgotten about Jacob. Our life is getting on as if nothing has happened. And yet Jacob was championing the stuff that you stand for. is rotting in prison. What's your pushback on that?
I would agree with you that to a very large extent as a people, we have become too selfish. We don't appreciate what other people do for our sake. If you look at Jacob, if you look at Job Sikala, like we've rightly said, our lives are going on as usual, as if nothing happened. Zimbabweans are too quick to conform, even to wrong things. And also the state has invested heavily in fear, making that people are afraid of wanting to stand. So when they target those who are outspoken, those who come out, they will be doing that in order to teach others a lesson that if you try this, then this is how it's going to end with you. But the unfortunate thing for us is maybe what I can say is the people are ready. The general people are ready.
Are they ready?
I can say that.
Why are the people right now not on the streets to say Jacob Ngarevume must be released? Why are the people not on the streets to say Job Sikala must be released? Do they need to be incentivized to do that? You say they are ready. I don't see them ready.
No, the people are ready. What is lacking is leadership. The leadership, when I'm talking about leadership, people may say you are also part of that leadership. But I'll be very frank. I don't command a huge following. I have to be frank with myself and say, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. There are those who command millions of people who have that capacity.
When you're saying the leadership, who are you referring to in this instance?
The leadership of the main opposition.
Okay.
Yeah. The leadership of the main opposition. These are the people who we have always been saying, we'll give a signal, we'll give a signal, we'll give a signal. And people have been waiting for this signal. And they know that they have the power, that if they were to say any single word, the people will react.
Why are they not doing that? If the people are ready, if they've got the support of the people, why are they not giving the sign? Why are they not giving the signal for the people to act?
I think I have a number of reasons, but I would not want to be seen like I'm attacking a fellow opposition leader. But one of the reasons, the lighter reasons, is maybe they are also afraid of the repercussions. Though I might be aware of certain other dynamics about everything, but I think they are equally afraid and not ready to take the risk. But what I think is...
Take us into a bit of the dynamics, which is why we have these conversations. A bit of the dynamics.
Okay.
Why? There's fear, but share with us a bit of the dynamics. I can't understand why a fellow activist, a member of your party, is in prison and you don't do anything about it. All you do is talk. Why have we not seen Nelson Chamisa go onto the streets and say to the people who are ready, come and join me, let's protest?
Yeah, I think as far as I know, there are also some political disagreements within the main opposition. And when somebody looks at you and is not comfortable with your way of doing things, sometimes when something happens to you, it may be good riddance because you are a problem child in one way or the other. And I don't think that the leadership of the main opposition is really serious with wanting to get rid of the regime in Harare.
Really?
That I can say.
Why do you say that?
Why I would say that is we have 3 or 4 months before we go to an election. There is nothing to show that we are really going to an election. There have been these stories making rounds that there have been some pacts of some sort on tribal grounds. The
Karanga Pact between Mnangagwa and Nelson Chamisa?
That's what people say. Including those who are within the main opposition, but to say, this is what is happening. that they have to allow EED to get his 2 terms. But that doesn't have to be done openly. But unfortunately, Chief Charumbira exposed it unwittingly at Mafume, at the funeral of Mafume's mother. We knew about this for some time, but we never thought that Charumbira was going to say it publicly. And if you are going to be objective and look at everything, you'd really say, no, these guys are saying the truth about what is happening within their part. This is not something that I've manufactured as Tsenengamu from fees, but this is what you are getting from those people who are within to say this whole drama that is happening is meant to make sure that Mnangagwa gets a second term. Because there was an arrangement that was done which involved Charumbira, Wanu Taunashe, and who is this one? These other and Mtendi. They went to convince the leadership of the main opposition to say we have been under the Zezuru dominance for 37 years. Why would you want to get one of your own out of the office after they had just been there for 5 years? Why can't you allow him 10 years? Then you have your time, you come in, we all support you, and you do all this thing. So at first I was doubtful about it until Charumbira came out and said, we had the Zezurus for 37 years, blah, 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 you are brothers, things like that and everything. I said, oh, okay. So those guys from this side who were saying this is what is happening were really saying the truth. So the people are really, you see, they can't wait to have change, the general people. And they are so hopeful that their leadership is also with them. They believe that the leadership is sincere. And like as I'm saying,
they're being fooled like you and I.
Yeah, like as I'm saying it now, if you check in the comment section, those from that side would be pulling me like nobody's business, saying you have been sent by Zanu PF to divide votes to do this. How can the opposition be pushing for electoral reforms 3-4 months before an election? If people were really serious about all this, these people were in parliament from 2018. They know that an election is not an event, it's a process. And what have they been doing about it? To be posting today on Twitter that we have not slept, we are pushing this. Why has it become an emergency to have this legislation passed through parliament when you have been there for 5 years?
Do you think the election is going to be free and fair?
Politics has never been free and fair.
Okay.
Yeah. It has never been free and fair. Go anywhere you want. There will never be free and fair elections.
So, Godfrey, you're saying you're not a politician, you're an activist. You've started this platform, which is the Front for the Economic Emancipation of Zimbabwe. Talk to me about what you want to achieve with this platform. Yeah,
like why I say I'm not a politician, because there are certain things that I do that are not supposed to be done by a politician. If you are to become a successful or a good politician, there are certain things you mustn't do, certain things you mustn't say. But I find myself saying all those things and getting this one's path and this, because I believe in saying the truth.
Yeah.
So I always get myself into trouble
but I've
with
seen
politicians.
a bit of a diplomat in you. There's a couple of issues that you've skated around. But anyway, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we started the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, and we announced about it on the 31st of August 2021. Then we launched it on the 6th of November 2021. As a political and economic movement to fight for the economic emancipation of the indigenous masses of Zimbabwe, so that people have equal and unhindered access to national resources and opportunity. That is basically the reason of coming up with fees. But we realize that what we find ourselves in is a manifestation of a leadership in the political crisis. So we then thought that maybe we need to also go political. But I will tell you that for now, Zimbabweans are not ready to listen to ideas. Yeah, they are ready to follow a party of their choice or a leader of their choice, no matter what they stand for, whether they are pushing for something or nothing. But if they say we are for Trevor, they'll follow you even when you are not doing anything tangible.
What do you think about that?
I think it's all coming from the political and governance systems that we adopted. If Zimbabwe or any other country, especially in Africa, is to progress, I think we must do away with party-based politics. We must do away with that.
What should we have instead?
We must have a no-party democracy, where you stand, Mukoma Trevor, as an individual. You articulate the issues that you stand for. People are able to criticize you. Because when you are in a party, you enjoy this support and this backing, even when you are wrong. And I'm writing something about that, to say we must change our system of governance.
Okay.
Yeah, parties have done us a lot of harm than good. So people have surrendered their brains to political parties, and they surrendered their freedoms and their thinking to political leaders and parties to say, think for us, do everything for us, even if you are not pushing for anything meaningful. For as long as we belong to Zanu PF, it's okay. And leaders have taken advantage of that.
But let me take you to another point now. Xavier Kasukuwere, good brother of mine, who I call Tyson, was on the show, and I asked him about the issue of violence. And indeed, he said that he's a changed person.
I was part of them. And they said, we didn't do this. I said, yes, we did it. But I now have learned. I now have seen. It's a Damascus moment. You have to go through it to know it.
Absolutely. So you are saying to the viewers that being outside and the introspection has changed you. Is that what you're saying?
It has added another process in my mind. I did not know, I did not understand it, and now I do. Now I do. They will accuse and say, you were part of them. Yes, I was. Why did you allow this to happen? Well, ignorance is not defense.
I go to a court where you said, and I quote, the Xavier Kasukuwere who was in Zanu PF since 2000 and the one we are talking about right now are different. If you engage him and talk to him, you will praise God. What he has gone through has transformed him totally. And I ask you the question, do you think Xavier has repented and acknowledged the problems that you are owning up to? Point number one. Point number two, do you think Xavier has capacity to be the president of this country?
Yeah, what I would want to say about Kasukuwere is when he was a leader, we had our own issues. We had our own disagreements on a number of issues. But for me, I'm one person who doesn't keep grudges. If we disagree today, it's over. Then tomorrow we are able to engage on a separate matter or even revisit the issues that caused us to part in our ways. Like I said, it's true. At some point, you see, was one person who didn't have the experience of being out of power, with everyone being against you, all the state machinery being against you. And that person was very difficult to engage with because he was in power. And now he's out there, vulnerable, exposed to everything and anything, pushed left, right, and center. And I think if he was going to be a president without going through that process, he was going to be tough in terms of engaging with him or making him understand certain issues. How I relate with people is because of what I went through during my time of upbringing as a child, and that's what molded me into the person I am. And when you talk to Xavier now, what he say to you, the way he engages his ideas and everything, I think he's went through some fairness. Yeah, and some of the impurities have been removed. But he's not a saint. Just like anyone else, he has got his own strengths, he has got his own weaknesses. But I think that if he's gonna get a good team around him, is one person who can push through things. When he runs with an idea, he runs with it. And I believe that he doesn't need, if he's to become president, he doesn't need bootlickers around him.
Now, let's use our lesson from thinking that Mnangagwa would be different when he gets into power and he changes. Is that not something that we need to be alert of with everybody that we consider to be presidential material?
Like I said, we have, everyone has got their weaknesses and their strengths. I think it does not only have to apply to Kasukwere, or it has to apply to all of us, that we can't be trusted wholly. We may indicate left and then turn right. But then we must be able to put in place systems and institutions that will help us in making checks and balances on the leaders. And I've been very clear with my brother Kasoe to say, even if you are to become president, don't expect that I will change my talk.
I'll bow down to you.
No, I will just tell you, my brother, Your Excellency, but this is wrong. with respect,
Yeah.
Because even during my engagement with Mnangagwa, I didn't start with going out. We engaged privately and with respect, but there comes a time when you say, I think we have to push because this is going way too far. So I believe that Xavier Kasukwere, with all his weaknesses and whatever that anyone can think, but I think if we are to look at the merits or his strengths, his strengths would outweigh his weaknesses from the time I've been working with him. I had problems with him in the constituency, in the province, and everywhere. And I can tell you what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. But with a good team around him and people who can say, this is what has to be done, let's do this and then, I think he's one person who can be a good leader.
Thank you for that. So why are you still doing what you're doing, Godfrey? 2015 to 2017, you are arrested 5 times. You've spent time at Harare Central Prison. You've spent time in Chikurubi. You've thrown out of Zanu PF a number of times. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why don't you just go farm? Why don't you find a job, do something? Why are you into this thing which gets you into so many problems?
I always ask myself the same question. I say,
and what answer do you give yourself?
I always find myself doing it again. Like I would pray about it and say, Lord, what's my assignment? I'm your vessel, use me. What do you want me to do? When I grew up, Mukoma Trevor, my life was tough. I had this feeling to say, if I am to get to a position of influence or leadership, I must be able to do good for others, because I grew up being helped by strangers, people who didn't demand anything from me. And I said, even to a point that the late Bodagezi paid school fees for me without knowing me before he died. And I look up to leadership as an opportunity to save, not to be saved. So I believe that I have something that I must contribute for the good of other people, put a smile on other people's faces. But at the end, I find myself in trouble. But then I say to myself, it's like a boat. It was never designed to stay out of the waters. It has to be in the water, but it may hit some objects in there and get destroyed.
Well, what lessons have you learned about yourself and politics through this turbulence?
I think I do not make a very good politician. Yeah. Why? Because I cannot pretend.
Is that not, but let me just pin you down there. Is that not the politics we need, Godfrey? Politics of people that don't pretend. Politics of people.
But I won't be successful in it. I won't even win a seat, because I will go to the people and tell them the truth. But the people are used to lies. They expect someone to come and lie to them. They want someone who come and give them sweet sounding promises. And I don't believe in that. I believe in being real.
Is that not an opportunity for changing the politics? So I'm going back to your point about we need to change the institutions. Should we not change the politics? Should we not change the electorate? For the electorate to get used to being told the truth and participating in the change that they want.
I think that's what we have to do, but I don't think that that can be achieved like with some of us being in political parties. We have to get out of political parties and push through non-partisan platforms so that we are able to interact with the people in various setups and everything and say, don't you think this is right? Because if I'm to push for that, well, at least I'm a political leader. People will think I'm doing it for political expediency. Exactly. So I think that if we are to achieve anything significant, some of us have to say, okay, fine, let's allow these other guys to be the politicians that they are. Then we get into the civil society movement. Because for me, I feel that there is a vacuum in the civil society movement. It's no longer visible, it's no longer effective, it's no longer producing results as it is supposed to be. This is the reason why everyone is looking up to politicians and everyone thinks that they have to form a political party. And I think I've learned my lessons from the time I was in Zanu PF. I've also learned my lessons from the time I was being involved in opposition politics. And those lessons put together may help me to come up with better ways of tackling certain issues.
You know, one very compelling reason for having you here is because you represent the next generation. You're 41 years old.
Sure.
And if my generation has failed, if your generation can't change the sorry affairs of this country, then we've got a problem. What is it that you think your generation ought to do to change this country? We've spoken about, the political system. What else do you think needs to be done if we are to change this country? What does your generation owe this country?
Our generation has to appreciate that these madalas that we are talking about today, we have messed up everything. At some point, when it mattered most, they took a decision to get out of their comfort zones, leaving schools, their parents, employment and everything to go out and fight so that they dislodge the regime back home. And that decision was treasonous. So as young people, we have to sit down, talk with ourselves and say, what is it that we stand for? What is it that we want? And how can this be achieved? Because vadiki vatinawo mukoma, they have to realize kuti vakwira bhazi revanhu vasvika riri kupinda murengi, driver ari kutotyora city, conductor ari kuburuka nechibhegi chemari, vapfana vari kusvetukirawo pacarrier. Tatungamidza vanhu vakaguta mberi kuti vatibikire, and all they are doing is vari kugadza beans, vogadza mazondo. Why? Because ivo vambonwa tea vakarova porridge, so they can afford to wait for mazondo ne beans dzavari kugadza. While we can't. So as young people, we must come together outside these political parties, because politicians naturally do not push anyone's agenda or interests. They would want you to think like they are pushing your interests when in fact they are not. So we have to come together outside political parties and create platforms and systems that can push our agenda as young people. And this some of us have already done. We have registered the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force. We have registered the National Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe. We are coming up with more initiatives to make sure that we push the economic emancipation agenda. We push the anti-corruption agenda outside of political parties. Because if we are to push these agendas on a partisan platforms, no one will think we are sincere. They may think that we are doing this for political expediency. So I'm still talking to myself to see how I can proceed from here. But I think that I would be more effective outside party politics, where I'm able to engage with everyone and anyone and be and talking to them without any restrictions, giving out our views and ideas on what we think has to happen without seeking any political office.
Wow, wow. You know, we could go on and on. Actually, we could have part one and part two. But as we sort of round up, in a nutshell, where were you born? Which schools did you go to?
I was born in Bindura, grew up in Bindura and Shamva. Then the other part of my childhood in our rural home in Rushinga. Then came to Mount Darwin. I went to Wadzanai Primary, Urunga School, Urunga South Primary School, Mshambanyama Primary in Shamva. Went to Bopoma Primary, Marymount High School. Then moved to Mount Darwin, where I was then employed as an assistant nutritionist under the Ministry of Health, and left employment in 2007 to embark on farming and some small business ventures. I've obtained my BSc in Developmental Studies, and I'm also studying for a Bachelor of Laws. It has not been easy with me. It has been tough. I'm a family man, and I'm...
How many children do you have?
I have 7.
You have 7 children.
I have 7, and I think I mustn't end there.
Okay.
Yeah, I need more.
You need more children.
Yeah, I need more children. Who, yeah, I think I need more.
Let's do this. You focus directly to that camera.
Okay.
And address the president. You've worked with him. You've sat with him close to him. I'm sure he will appreciate a message from you. So address your camera directly and pour your heart out to the president.
Oh, okay. I have this small message to my president, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. We stood with you, supported you so that you would ascend to be the president of Zimbabwe, in the hope that you were going to do right and correct the wrongs that were done by your predecessor, the late and former President Robert Mugabe. I would challenge you to go back in time and think about those issues that we discussed before you became president, for the good of the people, for the good of your legacy, even for the good of your family. Because it is a fact, Mr. President, that you are not going to be president forever. What legacy are you leaving behind for yourself, for your children? Remember, Zimbabweans came into the streets in their thousands from across the political divide in support that you come back, you become the president. Don't you think you have betrayed Zimbabweans? Remember your speech at the Zanu PF HQ when you talked about an unfolding new democracy. Is this what has happened? Go back to your letter that you wrote when you were in exile. The promise that you made to the people. We don't hate you. We love you. We are our father. But we just wish that you provide the leadership that you promised. And all Zimbabweans will not have problems with you. And to all Zimbabweans, I would want to say, I'm sorry. I apologize for everything and anything that you think I did wrong, that I said that didn't go down well with you. I'm not saying this for political expediency, but because I found Jesus, and I believe that asking for forgiveness is one integral part of a Christian. And I am here before you saying, for everything and anything that you think I did wrong before you, I say I am sorry, I love you, and ask that you love me back as a brother, as a child, and as a Zimbabwean. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. It takes a real man to apologize and take responsibility. Thank you very much for that.
No, thank you, my brother.
What role does God play in your life? Where do you see God in your life vis-a-vis politics? Where do you see Jesus Christ in politics?
For me, God is my creator. Jesus Christ, for me, is my God, is my redeemer, is my emancipator, is my provider, is my protector. He is my guide, he is the light of the way. And in fact, he is the way. So in everything that I'm doing now, I pray to God first and say, guide me. Show me the way, use me as your vessel. So I'm always praying to say, if it is God's will that I be in politics, so be it. But I don't ask for my will, I ask for his will to prevail, to say, establish your will in my life, establish your will in my career. So I am nothing without Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Sure.
Amen. The viewers out there love books, and I believe that leaders, rather, are people who read. Do you read at all?
No, I do read.
Okay. Are there any books that you want to recommend to our book-loving
Yeah,
audience
I
out
think
there?
I think I'll have 5 books that I'll recommend to those who enjoy reading. The 5 books that I would want people to read are: 1, Thomas Sankara and the African Revolutionary by Ernest Hush; 2, Che Guevara and the Imperialist Reality by Mary Alice Waters. The third one is Are They Rich Because They Are Smart by Jack Barnes. The fourth one is The Green Book by the late Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. The fifth one is Why We Can't Wait by Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow. Sure. Powerful books. Godfrey, we don't usually have politicians on this platform, but something in me said we need to have you here. And I'm delighted that you found God, delighted that you're coming clean on, not coming clean, but owning up to, if I messed up, I am sorry and I apologize. And I'm sure people out there want exactly that. I sense your passion, and I wish you all the very best. And I agree with you that what we ought to be doing is perhaps building institutions outside political parties so that we push agendas that will help us change the society. Thank you for creating the time, and wish you all the best.
Thank you for the
It's not going to be
opportunity,
easy, but wish you all the very best.
Thank you,
And thank
Bra.
you for being kind.
I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Allow me, remain sitting there. Allow me to address our viewers, to say thank you so much for watching the show and supporting us. Remember, we are a weekly conversation, or a weekly show. We're out on Mondays, every Monday, 7 a.m. Central African time, to ensure that you don't miss out on any of these quality conversations, such as this amazing conversation that I've just had with my brother Godfrey here. Please click on this button and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get an alert every time we have one of these conversations. We have gone a step further and created podcasts which sit on our website. You go there and click for your listening pleasure. All the conversations sit there for your listening pleasure. Binge if you want to binge, but we assure you that there's a quality conversations. We see your comments, we see your suggestions as to who should be on the show, and we appreciate them. Keep them coming. Until next time, cheers to you all.